Radhika Madhava Nitya Lila Dana Kori Radhika Madhava Radhika Madhava Nitya Lila Dana Kori Shata Shata Gunja Kunja Kandare Kandare Shata Shata Gunja Kunja Kandare Kandare Shata Shata Gunja Kunja Kandare Kandare Shata Lalit Nikunja Lila Krishna Manohare Lalit Nikunja Lila Krishna Manohare Jaya Shri Govinda Kunchi Manasi Ganga Dana Nivardhana Kunkushuma Sarovar Jaya Shri Govinda Kunchi Manasi Ganga Dana Nivardhana Kunkushuma Sarovar Jaya Shri Govinda Kunchi Manasi Ganga Dana Nivardhana Kunkushuma Sarovar Jaya Shri Govinda Kunchi Manasi Ganga Dana Nivardhana Kunkushuma Sarovar Danaganti Indra Chila Hare Deva Stane Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Tava Avarane Danaganti Indra Chila Hare Deva Stane Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Tava Avarane Mahaprabhu Kabbe Hava Govardhana Bhash Kava Nama Shai Kori Edi Nagash Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jaya Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Jai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo.
Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki, Shri Premdata Nityananda Prabhu ki, Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Bolo Giriraj Maharaj ki, Shri Radhakund Shamakund Giri Govardhana ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Navadvipam ki, Shri Purushottam Ketra Vipralamba Ketra Jagannath Puri Dhama ki, Shri Madhurjada Saganaiti Murti Mahabhav Prakash Jagannath Swami ki, Shri Radha Sham Sundar ki, Shri Krishna Balarama ki, Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki, Gaur Premanande, Samabheda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Gora Graganya Gana Gotra Goloruharam Gauranga Gudatama Gopyara Kolpa Briksham Gopala Gadaratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dileka Kola Kahe Premananda Emona Gauranga Hridoya Dariya Bola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangira Namare Bolo Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoy Amara Prana Re Se Hoy Amara Prana Re Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema Bidana Parama Pumarta Tismai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Srikuryat Kripaya Jadi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathabta Brajabala Bapahimam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Namo Vrindavanankaya Tubhyam Goloka Molane Purna Brahmata Patraya Namo Govardhanaya Cha Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Asesha Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Dayane Handaya Madhurabala Haridasa Varyo Yad Rama Krishna Charanas Parasa Pramoda Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayustayuyat Paniyasuya Vasakandara Kandamulai Panchakopatarubhyascha Sindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, for the next few days, am I doing something wrong? I would like to back up with these slides, though. I'm going to explain these slides from the beginning. So for the next few days, we'd like to try, with the blessings of the devotees, to say something about the glories of Giriraj Govardhan. This katha is based upon the teachings of our revered spiritual master, Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Maharaj, who kindly gave us a Govardhan Shila and instructed us in his worship. And we have a magazine we've been working on, as I mentioned, either meditating on or directly working on for the last about 25 years on Govardhan Lila, Govardhan Katha. And there's an article in there in which Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he concludes by stating that Giriraj is a manifestation of Krishna, but we accept him as a dear devotee, and we worship him as a dear devotee, Haridasa Varya. Mahaprabhu has said that Giri Govardhan is Haridasa Varya. He is one of the chief devotees of Lord Hari. So these kathas are really going to kind of be an overview a little bit of our magazine. And there's so many topics therein that we'd like to speak some of which with you the next few days. Our first subject is, what is the, to use a fancy English word, the ontological, or what is the absolute position of Giriraj? Who is he? Is he a devotee? Is he Krishna? Is he Baba? There's so many different conceptions of Giriraj. Who is Giriraj? So we'd like to speak something about that. We'd also like to speak something, probably in another day or two, about different conceptions of worship of Giriraj. Can Govardhan Shilas be worshipped as Balaram? Or as Radharani? What is the tradition in our line? What do our acharyas have to say about that? We'll examine that in a very careful, impartial way. And other topics are there, such as Gunjamala. Why is Gunjamala so dear to Krishna? What is the story behind it? What is the origin of Gunjamala? And what is the history of Govardhan worship in ISKCON? What did Srila Prabhupada have to say about that? And a very interesting subject we may come to. Why is it that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came here to Braj, and he went to Govardhan Hill, he wouldn't walk on the hill. But when he went to Jagannath Puri, he saw Govardhan, he saw Chatak Parvat, the hill there near to Tota Gopinath. He saw that hill as Govardhan, and he walked on it. Why is that? And why is it that if Mahaprabhu wouldn't walk on Govardhan, why did Madhavendra Puri walk on Govardhan Hill? Very interesting subject. So there are these and a number of other topics, including also the caves of Govardhan. Can we go up one more picture, I think? Two more. Keep going. This one right here. This is one of the Sapta Kandara, or 7 different caves, which are on top of Govardhan Hill, and very difficult to photograph. We had about 5 different photo expeditions with different Brijbasis going on the hill, and we had those little airplane things going, and it was very complicated. Before we got some photos that we finally liked, not from our last expedition, but since then again. of some of the caves, which are not far, these particular caves, not far from Puchari. And that topic is there, and some of the different stories about the different caves and the Siddhanta about them. So we were singing this song. You can go to the first line. This song begins, I'll just say a little something about it. We can sing this every day and we can understand something about it. It's a very, very deep song. And as I mentioned, we wrote a 3-page commentary on this song. It has, I think, some very esoteric considerations. I don't think we'll get into that so much right now. But he begins by describing Jai Giri Govardhan, Arotik Nihari. That just see Nihari, just see the Artik ceremony of Giriraj, just see the worship of Giriraj. And if you see the worship of Giriraj, and what does it mean to see that worship? It means to see it and understand it with our heart. Then Radhika Madhava Nitya Lila Dhanakoti. That, just seeing that will grant one entrance. Just seeing that worship of Giriraj. If you understand, if you take part, if you can understand something about the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami and the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the way they worship Giriraj Govardhan, if you understand that mood, then you'll be able to enter into Radha Krishna Lila. You'll be able to see the eternal pastimes of Radha and Madhav. And what's there at Giriraj Govardhan? The next line describes, Shata Shata Gunja Kunja. Kandare Kandare, Shata Shata Gunja Kunja. There are hundreds and thousands of kunjas, or kunjas of gunja berries. I told this story a few days ago at the Govardhan retreat. A few of you might have been there, but 5-6 years ago, we discovered looked like a very ancient cave or tunnel. It had a man-made entrance. Not far from, kind of between Surabi Kund and Airavata Kund, just near to Jatipura. And we were very curious to go inside. So I collected a few of the devotees with sticks and torches, because when you go, I've gone into some old tunnels and snakes like to live in them, the kind of snakes that we don't like to meet. So we took our torches and our sticks and we were banging our way in, and we were going, and the tunnel was a little short. It was all man-made, and it went for about 400 meters, nearly half a kilometer, quite a long ways. And we came out the other side, we could see some light. There was like a hole on the other side. And as soon as we stuck our head out, we could see Airavata Kund. And what it was a old drainage tunnel for Airavata Kund when the water got too high. But as soon as we stuck our head out of the hole, what's the first thing we saw? A very beautiful gunja bush right in front of us with different gunja berries. So there's a connection between Giriraj Govardhan and gunja. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave Raghunath Das Goswami a Govardhan Shila and a gunja mala. What is that connection with Giriraj and Gunja? I won't speak about that today, but that's there, and it's indicated in this song, Sata Sata Gunja Kunja. There's so many different kunjas on Giriraj Govardhan. There's so many different pilu trees and tamal trees and so many different types of trees there, plants. But in particular, he's saying Sata Sata Gunja Kunja. Kandare Kandare. Kandare te means caves. There's so many different caves on Govardhan. Raghunath Das Goswami, in his Govardhan Bhasa Prarthana Dasakam, he also speaks about the caves on Govardhan Hill. It's a very significant topic, and we'd also like to speak something about that later. I'm just introducing something now. And he says that Lalit Nikunja Lila Krishna Manohare. This is not Lalita, as in Srimati Radharani's very dear consort, but Lalit, which means very beautiful. Lalit Nikunja Lila Krishna Manohare. And in this beautiful Nikunja Lila is very, very satisfying for Krishna. It's very, very enchanting, Manohar. Krishna performs his very, very wonderful pastimes in those beautiful Nikunjas. So then after the first two lines, the author shifts direction, and now he begins to speak about some of the prominent places around Govardhan Hill. And this is a long discussion. But he begins with Govinda Kund, Jai Shri Govinda Kund. Why does he begin with Govinda Kund? Perhaps because it's said that it's there at Govinda Kund where Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. Jai Shri Govinda Kund, Shri Manasi Ganga. And then he speaks about Manasi Ganga, which is between Radhakund and, Manasi Ganga is just not so far from Gangati in the place of Govardhan town. And I won't tell the story, that many of you probably know the story of Manasi Ganga. And then he speaks about Dana Nivartan Kund and Kusum Sarovar. I'm going to just mention the names for a moment. Then he says, Danagati, Indra Chila, Haridevastani, Shamakund, Radhakund, Tava, Abarani. And this way, these two lines, he finishes the different places. Now, one thing that I find that's interesting, directly or indirectly, almost all of these different places have something to do with Dan Leela, this Dan Leela, Krishna's taxing the gopis. And if we consider the matter carefully, and practically all the prayers that our Goswamis have written about Giriraj Govardhan, they mention this Dan Leela. What is so significant about Dan Leela and Giriraj Govardhan? And they also have written books, Danakili Chintamani, Danakili Kumudi, Raghunadas Goswami and Rupa Goswami have written entire books about this Dan Leela at Govardhan Hill. Govinda Kund is directly involved with this Dan Leela. The gopis were taking their milk products. Dan means to tax. It's a tax Leela. So the gopis were carrying milk products to Govinda Kund for a yajna that was going on there, and Krishna stopped them. Manasi Ganga is also, there's some similar pastimes in Kusum Sarovar and Radhakund and Shamakund. And twice he mentions Dangati and Dan Nivartan Kund. Dana Nivartan means to return. So the gopis at that place, they said, look, we don't have money to pay your tax, but Nivartana will return. So then Krishna accepted that post-dated check from the gopis, and they came again later. This particular song, especially we see in the last line, Haha Prabhu Kabe Haba, Govardhan Abbas. The author of the song is praying that you please give me residence near Govardhan. And this, to me, evokes the very famous prayers of Raghunadas Goswami, the Govardhan Basa Prarthana Dasakam, wherein Raghunadas Goswami, he prays to Giriraj that Nibasam means eternal residence. You eternally give me residence near Govardhan Hill. And so the author of this song, he seems to be following in the line of Raghunadas Goswami in his mood by offering this prayer. And as we mentioned, Raghunadas Goswami, he's praying in particular, he's offering prayers to Giriraj, glorifying this Dana Nivartan Leela. So Krishna, he's known as Mahadanendra. He's one of the Giriraj's, when Krishna's his particular position, he's Rasika Shekhar, and he relishes this taxing. He wants to tax the gopis for their bhav, for their love. So he's like this. But in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, he describes that the gopis, they're praying to Krishna that we don't want anything from you. Whereas Krishna wants something from the gopis. He's Mahadanendra. He's the Indra, the king of those persons who want this dan, this tax. He wants something from the gopis. But the gopis, they say, we don't want anything from you. It's a really very interesting relationship. It's also very interesting if we consider Raghunadas Goswami's position. If we study the writings of a great poet or a great songwriter, their writings are influenced by the activities, by the things that have influenced them the most in their lives. So what thing has influenced Raghunath Das Goswami the most in his life? What could we say without a doubt? Raghunath Das Goswami was staying in the Gambhira in Jagannath Puri. And he was hearing the Prema Kirtan, that Virpalamba Kirtan, the Kirtan of separation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And without a doubt, that Kirtan of Mahaprabhu must have pierced the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami. It must have very, very deeply affected him. And so it's interesting, when Raghunath Das Goswami left Jagannath Puri after the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where did he go? He came here to Braj, and he came to Govardhan. The same kind of mood that's there in the Gambhira, in one sense, is also there at Govardhan. In the Gambhira, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kiddhisovanayaiva Swadyo Yenadbhuta Madhurima Kiddhisova Madhya Sokyam Chasya Mananubhavada Kiddhisam Vitilobat Tadbhava Jasamajani Satchigarba Sindhu Harindu. He's come, he's Krishna, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come in the mood of a devotee. And in particular, he's come to taste the mood of the gopis. He wants to tax the gopis. He wants to get that thing that they have, which is one of the ontological positions of Giriraj. So, understanding these points, who is Giriraj? And how do we understand him? So we'd like to explore some of that for today. We wrote some article about this, and we examined many, many different points. It's a very, very big subject. In many different places in Shastra and our Acharya's writings, they've described Giriraj Govardhan as being Sakshat Hari, or directly Krishna. In Priti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami, he quotes from Skanda Purana. Govardhanascha Bhagavan yatra Govardhano dhrita rakshita yadava sarve indra vrishta nivaranat. He says that Govardhan Hill is Bhagavan, God himself. And in this place, in Rajasthan, he held himself in the form of that Govardhan Hill. And this way, all the Brijbasi cowherds were rescued from Indra's reign. In a similar way, the Garga Samhita describes, and I'd like to say a little something about Garga Samhita in a minute or two, because if we're going to speak something about Govardhan, we want to quote some pramanas, and then we should say something also about what is the nature of those pramanas. So that's coming in a moment. Anyway, Garga Samhita says, Girirajo Hare Rupam Shriman Govardhano Girihi. That Giriraj is directly, he's a personified form of Lord Hari. Similarly, Narayan Bhatta Goswami, whose samadhi is there at Unchagaon, not far from Barsana. Narayan Bhatta Goswami, he came to Braj on the order of Krishna. Krishna manifested before him and told him, you go to Braj. And he took initiation from a disciple, Krishnadas Brahmachari, disciple of Sanatana Goswami. And Narayan Bhatta Goswami was ordered by the Goswamis that you help develop, you help find the lost places of Braj. And he discovered Barsana and Manasi Ganga and many different important places. So he wrote a book called Narayan Bhatta Charitamrita. And in that book, he describes Govardhan Hill. Esha Govardhana Sakshat Krishna Eva na Sangsaya. Na Sangsaya, there's no doubt that Govardhan Sakshat Krishna. Giriraj Govardhan is directly Krishna. So, based on this, some devotees, they worship Govardhan Shilas with a peacock feather and with a flute. That's clear and easy to understand. But then why is it that Giriraj is also addressed sometimes in other ways, as a devotee in other forms? It's interesting, we spoke to many of the Govardhan Basis, many of the Brij Basis, and predominantly the Brij Basis, they have another conception of Giriraj. They address him as Baba. And Baba is an affectionate kind of address, meaning father or a guru figure. And there's a long-standing tradition on Guru Purnima that the Brij Basis from all over Braj, they come and they do Govardhan Parikrama. Some people say they do that out of respect to Sanatana Goswami. And some of the older Brij Basis, very few of them know about Sanatana Goswami, frankly, but they think of him as that Bengali Baba. On this day, there was one great Bengali Baba who passed away, and so they come to honor him. But more frequently today, they're not coming for Sanatana Goswami, but they're going and doing Govardhan Parikrama because they consider Giriraj to be Baba. If you ask them, he's Baba. He's our guru. And we should go and we should worship him on this day. And that's supported in different writings of our Goswamis. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Artha Darshani commentary on the 24th verse of the 24th chapter, the 10th canto, he explains Krishna's words to Nanda Maharaj, and he says, Kinchaga Vardayeti iti Govardhana iti Vyutpate Yatartyenaiva Anubhuyamanat vad Gavam Brittir Govardhanadinaiva ti Govardhanas Chapuja ityaha neti dvabhyam Pura patanani janapada deshaha kintu Govardhana charakatvat vanukasa. Krishna said, my dear father, if we consider the term Govardhan, which means he who nourishes the cows, then we can actually experience the meaning of that word Govardhan. Because we see that all the activities related to the nourishment of our cows, they're all exclusively dependent on Govardhan Hill. Therefore, Govardhan Hill alone should be worshipped. So this is Baba. Baba is our father who takes care of us. And Giriraj takes care of all the Brij Basis. And all the Brij Basis, they say, if you have some problem, you go to Baba. And he'll take care of your problem. You go, you say some prayer to him. In his Stavamala, Srila Rupa Goswami has presented the prayers of the Brij Basis while Krishna was holding up Govardhan Hill. Giri tata govardhana prataneyam vapustula nali lagishtam videyam bhagavantam yata dharayanesha haste nadate shramam mangalamatnam namaste. He prays, he uses the word tata. Tata means father. They're praying, O Father Govardhan, we pray to you, you please become as light as some water spinach, so that Krishna won't become tired as he holds you in your hand. We bow down and offer our obeisances to you. So this term Baba is a very, very intimate term. And the Brij Basis have a very intimate relationship with Giriraj. They consider him to be their father, their protector, their maintainer. And this conception is still going on today. What is the conception of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Antilila chapter 6, text number 294, there's a verse which devotees oftentimes cite as indicating the position of Giriraj and how he's Krishna. So I'll sing this and you can chant Hare Krishna in response. Prabhu kahe e Srila Krishna ra vigraha inhara seva koro tumi korya agraha bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Prabhu kahe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das Goswami, "A Shila Krishnara Vigraha." This Shila, this stone, this is the form of Krishna. Inhara Seva Korotumi Korya Agraha. You should worship this Shila in a particular way. It's interesting to me that there's no Pancharatrika description, no Shastric description of any puja padati or any system of worship of Giriraj. Only a very few things. Of course, in the Bhagavatam itself, when Krishna describes the Anukut festival to the Brijbasis, and this verse, and one or two others in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in this verse, the significant point he's saying is that Korya Agraha, with great enthusiasm, you should worship this Shila. Raghunath Das Goswami is the Acharya, our Prayojana Acharya. And the only deity that he kept was this Govardhan Shila. And traditionally in our line, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they worship Giriraj, especially the sannyasis and renunciates. There's a very important, deep reason for this, which we would like to try to explore a little bit. So Srila Prabhupada, in his purport to this verse, he says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya that in the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Govardhan Shila, you doing okay? Not too fast? Okay. The Govardhan Shila, the stone from Govardhan Hill, was directly the form of Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda. The Lord used the stone for 3 years, and then, in the heart of Raghunath Das, the Lord awakened devotional service to the stone. The Lord then gave the stone to Raghunath Das, accepting him as one of his most confidential servants. So sometimes devotees, they cite this purport in verse. Yes, this is the position of Giriraj. The Giriraj is Krishna. And this is a very good pramana to support that. But I don't feel completely satisfied. Because you can see on other occasions, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to have a little different opinion about Giriraj. And it's not that we just cherry pick our favorite ideas from our acharyas or from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They seem to say two different things. I like this thing over here. I'll ignore this one over here and just take this one. We should act in a way, Rupa Goswami says in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, we should try to reconcile so that both are understood properly. Srila Murari Gupta is one of the first biographers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's written a book called the Sri Chaitanya Charit. And there in the 4th canto, chapter 18, text 18, chapter 8, text 18, Murari Gupta describes Mahaprabhu's words when he saw Govardhan Hill here in Braj. Danyo yam giri raja eva Danyo yam giri raja eva jagati Shri Krishna Ramo muda Yatra kridata eva santatam aho gopala balai saha Evam japati prema purna Rasadashi Goda Chandra Swayam Shri Govardhana eva Sagrahama Pita Pujayan Nrityati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began offering prayers to Giriraj and saying that Giriraj, he's Haridasa Varya. He's the most exalted of all the devotees. And much like this verse from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, Sri Radhika Bhakta Chandrat, which Raghunath Das Goswami says came from the moon-like mouth of the greatest authority, who is Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani said, Hantaya Madarabala Haridasa Varyo. The Giriraj, he's Haridasa Varyo. He's the greatest of devotees. In our magazine, I think we translated 6 or 8 different commentaries on that verse. And we also have a very interesting commentary on the Govardhan Basa Prarthana Dasakam, which is accredited to Baladev Vidyabhushan. So, Mahaprabhu here in Chaitanya Charit, he's saying something very similar to those words of Radharani. That throughout this universe, Giriraj Govardhan, he's the most glorious of all the devotees. And here at this place, Krishna and Balaram, they always play in great bliss along with the Gopala Balas. Saying this with great heartfelt eagerness, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began dancing while worshipping Govardhan Hill. Similarly, in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Ancha-lila chapter 14, which, what's the time now? 5:30? We'll see if we have time to get to that today. It describes how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one day was returning from taking bath in the ocean. If you go to Jagannath Puri, there is a place to this day which is known as Gora Batsahi. And Gora Batsahi means the neighborhood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's said that in that neighborhood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going every day with his associates to take bath in the ocean. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he said that he recommended to his disciples that early in the morning you should go to the ocean and chant japa. He said, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are going there even today. Adyapiha Chaitanya e Shabalila Kori, Jakone Jahari Kori, Justi Adhikari. For the persons who are Justi Adhikar, who are very fortunate, they may see, even today, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are going on. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, you go there early in the morning, he's taking bath, and maybe you might see him. So one such morning, he'd gone there and taken his bath, and he was walking back as he did every day toward the Jagannath Mandir, where we'd have darshan, Lord Jagannath, and suddenly something happened. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became mad, and he started running. He saw this sand dune. And that Chatak Parvat is not just one hill, but is a series of many hills. Mahaprabhu began running there, and he began reciting this verse. Hantaya madhara bala haridasa varyo yad Rama Krishna charana spadasa pramoda manam tanoti sahagogana yustayo yat pani yasuya vasakandara kandamulai. This verse, which describes Giriraj Govardhan as the greatest of devotees. So it's only partially correct to say that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "Ei Shila Krishna Vigraha," that this Shila, this is directly the form of Krishna. That's part of the truth. But another part is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both in Chaitanya Charitamrita, thank you, and in Chaitanya Charit, it's described that he saw Giriraj Govardhan as Haridas, as a devotee. So how do we reconcile these different understandings? I find it very significant that our 6 Goswamis, they've written many different prayers to Giriraj Govardhan. Raghunath Das Goswami, he's written 2 prayers to Giriraj Govardhan, his Govardhan Basa Prarthana Dasakam. And in the very first words of that prayer, he addresses Giriraj. He says, Nijapati Bhuja Dandach. Nijapati. Nija means your. Pati means your Lord. So he says there, in the very first words, Nijapati, your Lord. He's praying to Giriraj. He says, my dear Giriraj, your Lord. Who is Giriraj's Lord? That's Krishna. So immediately, in the very first 2 words, Raghunath Das Goswami draws a distinction between Krishna and Giriraj Govardhan. Similarly, Rupa Goswami in his prayers to Giriraj, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and all of our acharyas, they're very consistent in their prayers to Giriraj Govardhan. They never pray to him as Krishna, but they always pray to him as a devotee. Why is that? That's a very, very interesting thing, and there's many, many different examples of that. Srila Rupa Goswami, he writes in his Pratama Govardhanastaka in the 2nd verse, Brindayar Varyam Vanitam Aste Haridasyam. He says, the Giriraj, O Giriraj, the goddesses of Braj, the gopis, have described you as Haridas, the devotee of Lord Hari. This is also significant, if we have time to draw this out. If not, you can try to follow this line of thought yourself. It's the gopis who address Giriraj Govardhan as Haridas Avarya. So, Rupa Goswami, in verse 9 of his Pratam Govardhanashtaka, he addresses Giriraj as Krishnam Bodha Preshta, the dear friend of the black cloud Krishna. In the same verse, he says that Krishna is Te Hridayesha, the Lord of Giriraj's heart. And he says in Vrindavan Ashtaka, Varishta Haridasata Padasamrida Govardhana, that Giriraj Govardhan has a position as the best servant of Lord Hari. So many different statements are there. Brihad Bhagavatamrita and all the different prayers of our Goswamis addressing Giriraj as a devotee. And maybe I should just touch on another big subject. Sometimes devotees, they cite the fact that Krishna, he manifested a form that was like Govardhan. And he said that I'm non-different from the hill. The Bhagavatam describes that. And Rupa Goswami speaks about that in some of his prayers to Krishna, not his prayers to Govardhan, but his prayers to Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami also writes that in some of his prayers to Krishna. And they're very similar to the verse in Bhagavatam 10:24, 35 to 36, where Krishna manifested this great form and declared himself that I'm Govardhan Hill. But Krishna states in the Bhagavatam, in text 35, he says, this was Gopa Vishrambanam. The purpose of manifesting this form was to generate faith in the cowherd people. And Sanatana Goswami speaks about that in Krishna Lilastava. Jiva Goswami speaks about that in Krishna Sandarbha. In Krishna Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says that Krishna is playing the role of a human being. He offers his respects to other great personalities, because Krishna is acting like an ordinary human being. And in particular, Jiva Goswami says he offers respects to Lord Shiva, to Narad Muni, and to others. And in Krishna Sandarbha, Anucheta 29, Jiva Goswami says, Sri Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, Api Yata, Govardhana Makha Lilayam, Shri Gopa Gana, Vishmapana, Kotakaya Kashtin, Nijam Divya Murtim, Pradarashayantai, Samam, Atmanai Atmananyam, Namas Chakre. He says that although Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to bewilder the residents of Vrindavan during the worship of Govardhan Hill, for the purpose of bewildering them, Krishna manifested an expansion of his own transcendental form. And then, along with the residents of Braj, he offered respectful obeisances to that expanded form of himself. Even though Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, he offered obeisances to his own expansion as part of his transcendental pastimes. So, someone could say that because Krishna manifested this form and said, I'm non-different from the hill, therefore this is the conclusion that Giriraj is Krishna. But that also is not completely satisfying, because Jiva Goswami says here, Bhagavatam says, Krishna says, and Sanatana Goswami in Krishna Lilastava says that Krishna was doing this to bewilder the Brijbasis, to give them some faith in worshiping Govardhan Hill. So then, who is Govardhan Hill? We did a lot of research on this subject matter. And I'd like to touch on some of the different things that we found. First of all is the Garga Samhita. And if we're going to speak about the Garga Samhita, I feel obliged to say something about the authenticity of the Garga Samhita. There's some question about the authenticity of it. Some people say that the Garga Samhita was directly spoken by Garga Muni 5,000 years ago. It seems very unlikely that this literature was written at that time, although we don't really know. We can't prove one way or another. But one thing is there, that the Garga Samhita, this book that which we know, which speaks all about Braj, is another Garga Samhita, another book by the same title, which is all about astrology. And that is an old book. But the Garga Samhita that we know today, which has many verses in it from Bhagavad-Gita, and many different descriptions of the demons in Krishna Lila and who they were in their past lives and things, that Garga Samhita is not mentioned in any Puranas, in any other Vedic literature. And that's a significant point, because Vedic literatures, they speak about each other, and that's an important way to ascertain the validity of a literature, to see if it's cited in other Vedic literatures. Nor do we know of any place in any of the writings of our acharyas where they speak, up to the time of Bhakti-Vinod, I'll come to that in a moment, where they speak about Garga Samhita. Now, some people say that Sanatana Goswami quotes it in his Digdarshani Tika on Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He's written a commentary on his own book, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And some people say it's in our BBT edition translated by Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu. But we looked in the original Sanskrit of Sanatana Goswami's commentary, and he doesn't say a word about Garga Samhita. That was added later by Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu. So I'm going to quote you some verses from Garga Samhita regarding the ontological or ultimate position of Giriraj Govardhan. I'm going to quote some things from Garga Samhita. You may ask, on what strength do you quote that? We, on the strength of Bhakti-Vinod Thakur's Navaridham Mahatmya, Bhakti-Vinod Thakur, he quotes Garga Samhita something like 30 different times. Moreover, we found in our research that Garga Samhita has been published by several acharyas in the Gaudiya Math, and it's quoted by practically every acharya in the Gaudiya Math, and also practically every Gaudiya acharya, whether they be Babajis or Goswamis. But the book is highly appreciated. So, because Bhakti-Vinod Thakur quoted it, and because it's appreciated by so many different acharyas, we felt some strength to present it. But we're being very frank with you about the bona fides of the book, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of this movement. Because if you go, you meet some professor of Indology, and he's asking you something about Govardhan Hill, and you say, the Garga Samhita, which is 5,000 years old, says, you may look a little foolish, and you may make Srila Prabhupada's movement look a little foolish. At this point, maybe there may be some pramana which will come later, but at this point there's no good pramana that we've seen that shows directly the Garga Samhita is a very, very old book. So anyway, in the Garga Samhita, there are several different stories about the origin of Giriraj and how he came to Braj. One famous account is there. I think probably a lot of the devotees here know these stories, so I won't speak so much about that. One account is that Giriraj was born from the wife of Mount Drona. Her name's not mentioned. Mount Drona is the king of the Himalayan mountains. And it says there that later on, Pulastya Muni, he came and he begged Drona that you please give me your son, Giriraj. So Drona was very unhappy, but he couldn't refuse that Muni. And Giriraj agreed on one condition. Look, I'll go with you, but wherever you put me down, I'm going to stay in that place. So Pulastya Muni picked up Giriraj and was flying through the air with him. And as they were coming over Braj, Giriraj realized this is the eternal place of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. I want to stay here. So by his mystic power, he induced Pulastya Muni to have a urge to take care of his body. So Pulastya Muni stopped, he put Giriraj down, and he went to answer the call of nature. And when he came back a little later, he found no matter how hard he tried, Giriraj he couldn't pick him up again. And Pulastya Muni became angry, and famously he cursed Giriraj, you'll shrink the size of a mustard seed every day. And Lalita Madhav Rupa Goswami says that Giriraj is shrinking much, much faster than that. And we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Govardhan, when he came to Kusum Sarovar, he saw Govardhan Hill. We were just there, Kusum Sarovar. Did you see Govardhan Hill from Kusum Sarovar? No. Today you can't see Govardhan Hill from Kusum Sarovar. But 500 years ago, Mahaprabhu saw Giriraj there. So it would seem that Giriraj is shrinking very fast. And Rupa Goswami describes like that in Lalita Madhav. So the second popular version of how Giriraj came to Braj seems to have appeared in Narayan Bhatta Goswami's book, Braj Bhakti Vilas. And it says there that in Treta Yuga, when all the monkeys were helping Lord Ramachandra build a bridge to Lanka, that Hanuman came, he went to the Himalayas and he picked up Giriraj. And he was bringing Giriraj to help complete the mountain. And as he was going back, he heard an aerial voice in Akashvani, which said, the bridge is finished, nothing else is needed. So then he put Giriraj down in Braj. And Giriraj became very unhappy because he was hoping to have Krishna's feet, Yad Rama, Krishna, Charana, Sparasa, Pramoda. He was hoping to have Krishna and Balaram, Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman's feet upon his head. So at that time, Lord Ramachandra gave him a benediction that I'll come again and do our Dwapar Yuga, and in that time I'll walk upon you and you can do some service for me. Another account of the origin of Giriraj we found in the Padma Purana. In the 80th chapter, Narad Muni, while speaking to Brinda Devi about the glories of Braj, he said that in Kolpe Paratane means in a previous very ancient age, there was a Brahman whose name was Govardhan. And that Brahman, he was a great devotee of the Lord. And when Vishnu appeared before him to grant him a blessing, the Brahman, he requested the Lord, you please put your feet on my back and stand on me. So according to Padma Purana, by the blessing of the Lord, that Brahman, Govardhan, he received Sarupya Mukti. It's described in the Sanskrit there. He received a form non-different from Govardhan Hill, which is significant, indicating that Govardhan is a form of Krishna. And then it said there that understanding that Brahman must be hungry and thirsty, Krishna did what? He arranged for the Anukut festival to feed him. And then understanding that he was probably very thirsty, the Padma Purana says that the Lord then arranged for some heavy rains to come from Indra to satisfy his need for drinking something. There's another rare book known as the Maheshwar Tantra, and we came across a mention of this, where it said that in a previous Yuga cycle, Narad Muni, he dropped the jeweled necklace of Parvati, Lord Shiva's wife, and when that jeweled necklace landed on the ground, it manifested the form of Giriraj. With great trouble, we managed to get a Sanskrit copy of the Maheshwar Tantra, and we looked completely through that book, and we didn't find any mention of this story whatsoever. But there's some current conception, current idea today amongst some groups that Giriraj is mentioned in this Maheshwar Tantra. However, none of these stories, they don't explain the primal origin of Giriraj Govardhan. They directly or indirectly speak about Giriraj existing prior to being brought to Braj. There's only two descriptions that we're aware of that speak of the genesis or the origin of Giriraj. That's in another section of Garga Samhita and also in the Bhavishya Purana. In the Bhavishya Purana, the Pratisarga Parva, Kanda, chapter 4, chapter 25, it describes an unusual story of how Radha and Krishna engaged in severe penance for 1,000 years. And after Radha and Krishna performed their penance for 1,000 years, a brilliant effulgence came from their bodies, from which Brajmandala was manifested. There were 21 energies that manifested from various locations in their bodies. 10 energies were produced from their 5 working senses, their pancha karmendriya, and their 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, pancha gyanendriya. Those 10 energies turned into the 10 villages: Gokul, Barshana, Nandagam, Bandhura, Mathura, Braj, Jamuna, Manya, Shreyaska, and Gopika. Then there were 10 energies that were born from the 5 objects of the senses, the pancha tanmatras, and 5 elements within their bodies: earth, water, fire, etc., the pancha bhotikas. These 10 energies turned into, according to Bhavishya Purana, the 10 forests: Vrindavan, Gopavan, Bahulavan, Madhushringa, Kunjavan, Dadivan, Rahavan, Kridavan, Venuvan, and Padmavan. And then the Bhavishya Purana describes Manasa Prakritir Jato Girir Govardhano Mahan Dibyam Brindaranyam Drisva Paramanandam Apasa. From the energy emanating from their minds. This is what Bhavishya Purana says. From the energy emanating from their minds was born the great Govardhan. Seeing the divine Braj Mandala, Govardhan Hill attained great happiness. This is an interesting story. We should know, Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha, he explains why it is that there are different descriptions in different Vedic literatures, which sometimes the mood seems a little different. For example, Brahmavaivarta Purana and also Garga Samhita in many places, the mood is not the sweet kind of mood that we read in the works of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Rupa Goswami and other Gaudiya Acharyas. And some of it's mixed with some other things. In this particular case of the Bhavishya Purana, it seems that perhaps it's aimed at people who like to understand something of the material nature, and they want to be able to count different numbers of things. So they have some faith in that. And to give them faith, to bring them to the point of Braj, this description may be there. That doesn't minimize or deny the description that was said here, that Giriraj came from the minds of Radha and Krishna. But we should bear in mind what is the context of it and what is the tone that it's written in. Who is the audience? Who is it meant for? To give you a very graphic example of this, in the Linga Purana, which is sometimes quoted by our Goswamis, by our Acharyas, it's a bona fide Purana. In the Linga Purana, you'd be interested to know, it says there that Lord Vishnu doesn't exist, that he's just a dream of Lord Shiva. And that Lord Shiva, he's the absolute truth. So Jiva Goswami explains this in Tattva Sandarbha, that these kind of statements are there to give faith to certain types of people. So certain people have faith in certain kinds of things, and descriptions are given to satisfy that. The Garga Samhita in the 3rd canto, chapter 9, gives a very wonderful description that after dancing with the Braj Gopikas here in Vrindavan at Vamsivat in the Ras Leela, Krishna was very pleased with them. Now Krishna has made a statement in Bhagavad-Gita, Yayatam mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. He says, this is my nature. I always reciprocate with persons no matter how they approach me. So Krishna wanted to reciprocate with the gopis. This was the topmost pleasure Krishna had ever gotten, the Ras Leela. So Krishna asked the gopis, he offered them a boon. And at that time, not just any of the gopis, but Srimati Radharani. She requested, Yadi rase prasanosi mama premna jagat pate tadaham pratanam tvam tu karomi manasi stitam. She said, O Lord of the worlds, if you're pleased with my love in this Ras Leela, there is a desire in my heart I'd like to place before you. Krishna said, you tell me, what is your desire? We'll fulfill that. And Srimati Radharani spoke then. Vrindavane dibya nikunja parshve Krishna tate rasa rasaya yogyam rahastalam tvam kurutan manojsam manorato yam mama deva deva. She said that in that splendid Vrindavan forest, in a beautiful and secluded place by the side of the Jamuna, you please make a place, especially a place that's just meant for the Ras Leela. That's my desire. Krishna said, Tatastu, so be it. And then Garga Samhita describes, Tadaiva Krishna Hridayad, Gopi Vyuhasya Pashyata, Nirgatam Sajalam Tejo, Anuragasheva Chankuram. That in the form of an ankur means a seed. Anuragesha Chankuram, a seed of anurag, a seed of deep loving attachment. Krishna's personified love for the gopis, Krishna's personified love, in particular for Srimati Radharani, came out of his heart in the form of a deep attachment. And so that manifest form of Krishna's love fell on the ground and began to manifest in the form of a great mountain, because Krishna has a great mountain of love for Radharani. And that mountain began to grow and grow and grow and grow. And it was full of many different caves, many different streams, and so many different kadamba and bakul and shok trees, different vines. Giriraj Govardhan is Krishna's love for Srimati Radharani. And the Garga Samhita says that love became 800,000 miles wide and 8 billion miles long. It was like another Ananta Sesh. On the back of our magazine, we put a very beautiful photo of a Govardhan hill outside of Braj. It's near Bogota, Colombia. And it's a big rock. It's about as high as the ceiling, nearly. And the devotees have painted a beautiful Giriraj face on him. And you see it and your heart just melts. So when we were doing the editing for our magazine, Bhakti-Rupa Prabhu, our copy editor, he protested a little. He said, Madhavananda, you're putting us on the back cover. Devotees may think that this is in Braj. I said, no, we'll write inside. This is near Bogota, Colombia. He said, then devotees will ask, how is it possible? And then he gave the answer. He said, well, if Giriraj is 8 billion miles long, no problem. He can very easily extend all the way to Colombia. He extends all over the place. And it said that Giriraj has peaks that were 180 million miles high, and still that height today. So as that mountain expanded, everyone in Golok became very fearful because they were very afraid. This mountain is growing and growing. It looks like we're all going to get squished. So at that time, Krishna stood up and he came over and slapped the mountain. Said, hey, Badmas, rascal, stop it. Don't grow anymore. And the mountain controlled himself. Because if you understand this to be Krishna's personified love for Radha, it's no surprise that it's going to keep growing and growing and growing unlimitedly. Because Krishna has unlimited love for Srimati Radharani. So, if we consider these accounts in both the Bhavishya Purana and the Garga Samhita, they describe the Giriraj as a manifestation of Krishna, but he's in the mood of a devotee. This is a little bit postgraduate subject matter. My Guru Maharaj used to speak about this some, and particularly about Gaur-Govinda Maharaj used to speak about the worship of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how traditionally in our line, our acharyas don't worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with any of the symbols of Krishna. They don't put a flute in his hands or anything like it because he's in the mood of a devotee. And Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, don't disturb the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't put the symbols of Krishna on him. You can, why not? He is Krishna. But we don't for two reasons. One, because we don't want to disturb his mood. Two, because he gives something more when he's in the mood of Radha. He gives a lot more mercy than when he's in the mood of Krishna. If you dress him like Krishna, you put some of the symbols of Krishna on him, then he may say, oh, I forgot, that's right, I'm Krishna. Oh, Now I have to examine everyone. Are you qualified? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Radha, his mood is Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila. He doesn't consider who's Uttam, who's Adam, who's elevated, who's fallen. He's in the mood of Radha. There's an interesting example in this regard in the commentary on the Valmiki Ramayana by Manavala Muni, who's from the Tankalite school of the Sri Sampradaya. And he says that why is it that Sita wasn't present when Lord Ramachandra killed Ravan? Did you ever think about that? I mean, Lord Ramachandra is a great Kshatriya, and he wants to avenge the honor of Sita Devi. She's also a Kshatriya. It would make sense that he would kill Ravan in front of Sita, but he didn't do that. Why not? Manavala Muni says he couldn't. Because Sita is a personification of the Kripa Shakti, a point which Srila Prabhupada also makes in Nectar of Devotion. He said that if Sita were present, she would have stopped him. No. Don't kill him. You should have mercy on him. And there's another very nice book which Srila Prabhupada described as the best book written in the Hindi language, the Ramcharit Manas, in which he gives another explanation about the same pastime of the killing of Ravan. It said there that Lord Ramachandra was shooting so many arrows at Ravan, and he was cutting off Ravan's heads. And every time he would cut off a head, another head would come back. And he kept doing that over and over and over again, until finally, at the end of the day, he took one Shakti arrow, and he put that to his bow, and he shot Ravan in the heart and killed him. Now you may ask an obvious question, why did Lord Ramachandra waste all of his energy cutting off the heads one after another of Ravan? Why didn't he just go right to the main arrow and just shoot him in the heart? The answer is that he couldn't shoot Ravan in the heart. It wasn't possible, because he knew who was in Ravan's heart. He knew who Ravan was meditating on completely, and that was Sita. How could he shoot an arrow into Ravan's heart when Sita was there? So instead he kept cutting off the heads of Ravan. And then when Ravan got a little agitated, you'd also become agitated if your head was getting cut off repeatedly. When Ravan became a little agitated, he forgot about Sita. And then Ramachandra said, now is the time. And he took that arrow and he shot him in the heart. Because that Karuna Shakti, who is Srimati Radharani, and her expansion, Sita Devi, they're so merciful. They'll spare even Ravan, even the greatest demon. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. Although he's Krishna Sarup, that Radha Bhava and Duti, the mood and complexion of Radha, is covering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna's on the inside, and he's not absorbed in the mood of Krishna. He's absorbed in the mood of Radha. To put it in the language of Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he said that Krishna generally controls his Karuna Shakti with his Icha Shakti, his desire potency. And so he doesn't allow people to know about Radharani. Radharani was a very, very secret thing during the time of Krishna Lila. Very few people heard about it. In Mathura, Uddhava was sent. 1 or 2 people heard something about Radharani. Because Radharani is so very, very merciful, the rules will be broken. And even the most unqualified person will be given so much mercy. So with his Icha Shakti, Krishna hides her. But in Gaura Lila, that Karuna Shakti becomes free. And the mercy is unlimited. So there's more mercy to be gotten from a devotee. This is a very subtle point, and it's a little difficult sometimes for devotees to understand. It's hard for people who come in off the street and you point to the statue and you say, that's God. And you say, okay, sure, right. So, but we have our kirtan is something we can understand. And then if you try to tell them that this rock is also God, that's going to be harder for them. Then if you go to try to tell them that statue is God, but he's a God in the mood of a devotee. And this rock is God, but the rock is in the mood of a devotee. Who's going to understand that thing? It's a very, very subtle point. We should consider this thing for some time. And from one perspective, it's not that there's necessarily a right or wrong conception. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it said that, Krishna Kun, you remember the verse? Krishna Das Kaviraj Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, Jai Rupa Chinche Dasi, Se Rupa Hoy. That according to the conception a devotee has of the Lord manifests a corresponding form. We give the example many times. If you were a newspaper reporter writing an article and you went to Mathura the day after the elephant Kuvalayapati was killed and Kamsa was killed to write an article about it, and you interviewed different people who saw what happened. And you ask them, I heard there was some boy from Vrindavan. Who was that? If you interview some of the yogis, they'll say that was the Paramatma. If you interview the cowherd boys, they say, no, it's not the Paramatma. He's our Drug. He's my Bandhu, our friend. If you interviewed some of the ladies of Braj, the ladies of Mathura, they become very shy and put their cloth over their face and say, well, it was Cupid personified. And ask the wrestlers, maybe the one or two or three who are left alive, who that was death personified. Which one is right and which one is wrong? They're all correct. So there may be different conceptions, but at the same time, there's a reason why our acharyas, our Goswamis, worship Giriraj in a certain mood. There's a reason why they worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a certain mood. Because as a devotee, they give more. So when we consider these different accounts in the Bhavishya Purana and in Garga Samhita, they both describe how Giriraj is not just Vishnu Tattva, but he's Krishna Tattva. That he's directly the manifestation of Krishna. And the Garga Samhita says that he's come from the heart of Krishna in a form to particularly please and serve Srimati Radharani and the gopis, where the Bhavishya Purana says that he's come from the minds of both Radha, who's the supreme devotee, and Krishna, the supreme Lord. So both of these accounts would indicate that Giriraj is simultaneously Bhagavat Swarup, the form of God, and Bhakta Swarup, the form of a devotee, much like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Giriraj is both things. He's both a devotee and he's Bhagavan. He's also Baba. He's a father for all the Brijbasis. And he manifests himself in different ways for different personalities. We'll speak more about that, I think, in a day or two. But like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Nityananda Prabhu, like Advaita, like Balaram, like Lakshman, like Nanda Sesh, Giriraj Govardhan has come particularly in the mood of a devotee. And although Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wants to taste the mood of being a devotee. Krishna himself says, Bhakta Prema Rajata Dasha, Jai Gati Prakar, Jata Dukkha Jata Sukha Yateka Bikar. Krishna Taha Samyak Na Pare Janite, Bhakta Bhava Angikari Taha Aswadite. He says that Krishna, because of his position, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the supreme object of love. He can't understand what it means to be the abode of love. He can't understand what it means to be a devotee. And that's something he wants to taste. And so he comes in the mood of a devotee as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Lord Nityananda, Advaitacharya, and others. And he, in that way, he's able to relish, to taste that mood of being a devotee. And Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Doya, Koroho Vichar. If you're interested, he said, Vichar Korite Chitte Paibi Chamatkar. If you're interested in logic and argument, you should consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, it's chamatkar. It's a wonderful, wonderful, amazing type of mercy. It's not there in anyone else. Srila Prabhupada described in one lecture in 1968 in Los Angeles, he said, a devotee is more kind than God. A devotee is more merciful than God himself. We should always remember this. So our Goswamis, they were very firm about worshiping Giriraj as a devotee. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's written a series of prayers called the Govardhanashtakam. In the last of his prayers there, he says very emphatically, Vina bhavet kim haridasa varyo padashrayam bhaktir atashrayami yameva swaprema nijesayo shri govardhano me dishatam abhishtam. Govardhano me adishatam abhishtam. You please fulfill my abhishta, my desire, O Giriraj. And what is that desire? He says, Vina. Vina means without. Vina bhavet kim haridasa varyo. He says, unless you worship Giriraj Govardhan as a devotee. Very emphatically. Vina bhavet kim haridasa varyo padashrayam. You take shelter in padashrayam eva. Padashrayam bhaktir atashrayam yam eva swaprema nijeshayo sri. You can't get the swaprema, the prema, the love that Giriraj has. Now that's a very interesting thing. That Giriraj has love for Krishna. And therefore it's said that we can worship Govardhan in two ways. We can worship him as Haridev. And near to Manasi Ganga, there's the ancient temple of Haridev, which is said to have been established by Brajanath, that deity. And that's a form that Krishna manifested before the gopis when they were feeling separation from him. And Haridev is Krishna holding up Govardhan Hill. He's Giridhari. And if you worship him, you can get amazing mercy. You can become a Brajbasi. You can get Brajbas. But you can't get the love that Giriraj has. And what is that love? Giriraj is Krishna's personified love for Radha. Krishna wants to reciprocate with Srimati Radharani. Radharani doesn't want anything for herself. All that she wants is a place where she can meet with Krishna and offer services to Krishna in the form of the Ras Leela. So Krishna, to reciprocate with Radha, to fulfill that desire of hers, Krishna manifested this form as Govardhan Hill. And this is why our Goswamis, who are all in the mood of Sakhi Manjaris, Raghunath Das Goswami is said to be Rati Manjari, or sometimes said to be Tulsi Manjari. Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. All of our different Goswamis are different Manjari, servants of the gopis. And their mood is to bring Radha and Krishna together. Whereas the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's in the mood of Radha, he wants to see Krishna. Our six Goswamis, their mood is slightly different. They want to bring Radha and Krishna together. And therefore they worship Giriraj Govardhan as a devotee. Hantaya Madhurabala Haridasa Varya, because this is the mood of the gopis. The gopis could worship Giriraj as Haridev, as Krishna. All the Brijbasis had this conception that Giriraj is Krishna. But the gopis are not thinking of him like that. Why not? Because there's something more when they worship him as Haridas. In this prayer, implicit in this prayer, Hantaya Madhura Bahala Haridasa Varyo, is the understanding that it's better to worship him as a devotee than it is to worship him as Krishna. He's addressed there not only as Haridas, but Haridasa Varya, the best of the servants of Lord Hari, the best of the servants of Krishna. And why are the gopis praying like this? If the gopis address Giriraj Govardhan as Krishna, that's very nice, why not? But how will they serve Radha and Krishna? How will they help to bring Radha and Krishna together in the caves on Govardhan? How will they walk on Govardhan Hill if they see Giriraj as Krishna? And this brings us to another topic which I could talk about. Maybe we'll go on for tomorrow. And that is about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walking on Govardhan Hill and the difference between Chatak Parvat, that Leela in Puri, and the Leela that takes place here in Braj. some very interesting things from some Bengali article which was written under the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I think I'd like to stop right now, though. There's a lot of things to digest just in this little time. I can tell you one thing for myself. Somehow my Guru Maharaj told me you should give classes. If anybody asks, you should give class. I'm not qualified to do that. But somehow we're traveling all over the place and giving classes, and I found over the years that what we really want is a very intimate sangha of devotees who are very like-minded and who are very close. Because it's only in that kind of sangha that you can speak these kind of subjects. If you start speaking very high topics, and we're speaking some little subtle, very high topics today, and there's not a close connection of the heart of the speaker and the listeners, and sometimes people get some misconnection. They get some misunderstanding. In our society, we want to make huge temples which have like football stadiums, and 100,000 people can come and chant Hare Krishna, and that's wonderful. And that's very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. But we also want to have very intimate sanghas. And this is a lesson that we learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I like to say that Mahaprabhu established the Jagannath Puri University of Braj Prem. He opened a university in Jagannath Puri. And it was a university to show us how to do bhajan to attain Braj. And in that university, all the different Leela Stalis are different classrooms which teach us different lessons, how we can come to Braj. And so I'd like to mention something about the first and the third of those classrooms, two of the most important classrooms, perhaps the two most important classrooms in Puri. The first is the Jagannath Mandir. And in the Jagannath Mandir, everyone comes. There's millions of people who go for darshan of Lord Jagannath. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's said in the Lochandas Thakur's Chaitanya Mangal, he's going there 3 times a day to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. That worship of Lord Jagannath is organized religion. And there's some problems. There's always problems with organized religion. Guaranteed. Don't just think it's only here in ISKCON. It's in every Gaudiya Mat, it's in every Babaji Sangha, it's in every Sangha where there's some kind of organization. There's always going to be some kind of problems. And there's also so many problems in Puri, foremost of which many of you know, the Western devotees, one of the only phrases I know how to say in a real language, Videshi Prabesh Nishad. Same in Hindi. Foreigners not allowed entrance. I've heard that too many times. So they have this attitude, and they wouldn't allow Haridas Thakur entrance, they wouldn't allow Rupa and Sanatan Goswami entrance. They have some misconceptions. But in spite of all those misconceptions, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us that God always supports organized religion. As depressing as that may sound, God always supports organized religion because it's needed. It's needed something for the mass of people. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us that not far from the Jagannath Mandir, there's another place, which is the Gambhira. And we need another place, a private place, with just 2 or 3 associates. Srup Damodar Goswami, Roy Ramananda, Raghunath Das Goswami, Govinda Das, Govinda, Mahaprabhu's servant. Just a few very intimate associates he had there. And by relishing that Leela, Mahaprabhu was both tasting it himself, and he's also teaching us how to get the thing that he's come to give us. We need to support organized religion, but at the same time we need to have a quiet, private place in our heart where we can contemplate subject matters, something like what we're speaking about today. I'm a little reassured by the words of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, he's writing, all of a sudden he thinks, oh, what if unqualified people see this subject matter? What if they hear this? And then he says, actually, it's not a problem because they won't understand it. The subject matter protects itself. So with that understanding, I'm also a little comfortable to try to say something. But I feel obliged to speak frankly to everyone here that if we want to understand deeper topics like this, we have to develop a deep relationship with Gurudev, with a higher Vaishnav, and hear from him in a very intimate way. Ramanujacharya, as we were mentioning the other day at the Govardhan retreat, in his Gita Bhashya commentary, he says there's 3 items which comprise Shravana Adhikar, or the qualification to hear, Pranipat, Pariprashna, and Seva. Without these 3 qualities, Sunile na Shunakana, Narottam Das Thakur says it goes in one ear and it comes out the other ear. It's information. Well, that was really cool. It was entertaining. I like it. He told some jokes. I got some good information I can repeat. But it won't penetrate the heart unless we surrender to that person, unless we surrender to that topic, unless we inquire and speak frankly about any doubts that we have, and unless we render service both to the speaker and to the subject. Unless we do those 3 things, we're not really going to be able to imbibe these kind of topics. So I'm just speaking very frankly about that. Please forgive me. I feel obliged. So now I've taken up more of our time. It's a few minutes left. Are there any comments or questions from anyone? Or better than that, I like to ask if there's reflections. If anyone has anything that we said that you really liked, that struck a chord with you, and by repeating it, maybe you'll help remember it, or maybe it connected with some other thought in your mind you can mention. If anyone has any reflections, I'd like to take those first before questions. And that encourages me. Some people weren't asleep. Yes? Well, 2 things are there. First of all, in our line is not strictly just, although we take shelter of Shastra, we should quote Shastra, it's very, very important. Don't think that just by reading books you're going to understand everything. And Krishna in the Gita says this, Raja Vijay Raja Guyam. He said this thing which is a Guyam, it's Raja Guyam, the topmost thing. He says Pratyak Savagamam Dharmyam. It has to be realized. This is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Gorkishodas Babaji he didn't pass Bhakti Shastri, like that. He wasn't a famous scholar. But he had realized knowledge. That Gita Panda in South India, who maybe was holding the book upside down, he couldn't read the book, but he was crying while he was holding it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you're the real knower of Bhagavad-Gita, because he captured that bhav. So how do we accomplish that? Shushu Shoshadadanasha. Vasudeva Katavruchi, Sham Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirthana Sevana. The Bhagavatam describes that we should render service to the Mahatmas, to the devotees. We may become confused. Well, is Giriraj a devotee? Is Giriraj Krishna? Now I really don't know what to do. Don't become confused. We go to Gurudev and we say, Guru Maharaj, what should we do? And an interesting thing is there that he may tell you something different than another disciple. That happened to me. It's a long story. But I wanted a Govardhan Shila. But I had made a vow, I'm not going to ask anyone. And if he comes to me, and it's a long story, but one day when I was traveling with my Guru Maharaj, some devotee came and just spontaneously said, would you like a Govardhan Shila? I said, well, yeah, but I have to ask my Guru Maharaj. And so we went to our Guru Maharaj, and he said, yes, you should worship him. And then he told me how I should worship him. And I was doing that. I had another god brother who was also worshiping a Govardhan Shila, and he was worshiping him in a different way, also according to Guru Maharaj's instructions. He gave him a different instruction than me. And that devotee was watching the way I worshipped, and later he spoke to our Guru Maharaj. He said, Guru Maharaj, I really like the way Madhavananda's doing it, and I'd like to do what he's doing. And our Guru Maharaj chastised him. And he said, that's for him. What I told you is for you. So we don't have to speculate about this matter. We take shelter of Gurudev. And Gurudev will give us some instruction like that. And if we get the mercy of Gurudev, then we can realize pratyak savagamam dharmyam, and everything becomes reconciled in that realization. It's not just a mental thing, well, is it like this or is it like that, but we've actually realized something. Okay? If we can reconcile the two aspects. He's a servant. Uh-huh. He may do that, but the Lord reciprocates according to the way the devotees worship Him, according to the conception that they have with Him. For example, in the Mahaprakash Leela, which is described elaborately in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that Mahaprabhu was being worshipped as Krishna there. And it says clearly that Mahaprabhu was giving Vaikuntha Bhav. He was giving the mood of Vaikuntha. He wasn't giving the mood of Radha in that place. But so many very exalted devotees were worshipping Him as Krishna. But that's what comes out of Him at that time. Because we all reciprocate according to how someone approaches us. If someone comes to us in a very angry way, in a way that's not very understanding, it's not very considerate of us, and tries to order us to do something and shouts at us or something, we respond in a certain way. When someone else comes in a very empathetic way, a very kind and concerned way, we reciprocate in another kind of mood. So our Vaishnava Acharyas, our Gaudiya Acharyas, they want us to understand the mood of Krishna, the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's our great wealth. Okay? Anything else is there? So I was supposed to finish at 6:30, so why don't we stop there? I think tomorrow we'll say something maybe more about Mahaprabhu in Puri, but also about Gunjamala. Very interesting story about the origin of Gunjamala. So thank you all very much. Some devotees are asking me about our magazine, which is my service to my Guru Maharaj. The press just told me this morning that they're going to have it ready. They should have it ready by, Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. So if somebody wants a copy, we'll have it then. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda ki, Gaur Premanandi, Vanchakalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu Bheva cha, Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavi.